Hi everybody, yes, so I finally checked out this channel known as Education is Cool, also known as the Fantastic Skeptic, which should also go in these annoying little bunny ear quotes. Now it shouldn't surprise anyone that this particular channel is not exactly my cup of tea. It's not exactly up my street. And I'll give you a few reasons why. I've made a few notes here to which I shall refer. I'm mainly responding here to his video called Dear Rebecca Watson, because it seemed to sum up a lot of why I don't like this channel. Now, first things first, the most obvious thing I don't like about this channel is the name, because it's inaccurate. This channel is not an educational channel, it is a personal political channel. There may be some educational material on there, I don't know, but what I've definitely seen is the expression of some very personal political opinions. Now, anyone who works in education will know very well that to express personal political opinions as though they are educational and to refer to them as education is highly, highly unethical. It's not something any educator with any ethics would ever do. So I don't like the fact this channel is called Education is Cool. Education is cool, if by cool you mean great. If by cool you mean popular, sadly no, not really. Unfortunately, education is rather uncool in that respect, and sadly probably always will be. But yes, so not an education channel. I mean, I make lots of personal political videos on my channel, but I would never dream of calling my channel anything like Education is Cool. I would never dream of filing any of those under education, for example, or calling them educational videos. They're personal political videos. Even if I provide evidence for my opinions to back up my views, they are still personal and political. The name The Fantastic Skeptic is also inaccurate. I mean, at least the Amazing Atheist's name is 50% accurate, so he's actually got an edge on you, which is not good going. You refer to YouTube as a public forum. That's debatable, but then you say it's for exchanging ideas. The vast majority of YouTube stuff, you seem to be unaware, is home videos, it's video game footage and music and stuff like that. You know, the fact that people like you and I, Education is Cool, the fact that you and I might use it for exchanging ideas does not mean that's what it's for. That's not what YouTube was originally set up for. YouTube is just a place for people to upload their videos. YouTube, it's for you. It's you and your channel. It's for you to upload whatever the hell you want, within the restrictions of the terms of service. So for you to just say, oh, it's for exchanging ideas, means you seem to very much see YouTube through blinkers. You see it through your own personal perspective, and you seem to think that's how everyone else should be viewing, either does view it or should be viewing it. A running theme I noticed in your videos, you seem to consider yourself to be very important, which I'll get back to. I'll address that as we go. Now, you actually make a very bizarre quote directed at Rebecca Watson in your video. I find this sentence both incorrect and odd. You say, putting your videos out there does not entitle you to not hear constructive criticism from those who disagree with you. I'll just read that again. Putting your videos out there does not entitle you to not hear constructive criticism from those who disagree with you. Now, I presume you could consider your criticism to be constructive. I personally don't, but we'll just leave that aside for the minute. Does not entitle you to not hear. Actually, people are perfectly entitled not to listen to you. People are perfectly entitled to go la 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 la, not listening. Whether that's a mature way to behave or not is a different matter, but people are perfectly entitled to ignore you, they're perfectly entitled to block you, they're perfectly entitled to delete what you post on their videos, they're perfectly entitled to block comments altogether, they're perfectly entitled to ignore any videos you put up, which I'm assuming Rebecca has ignored this video, because, you know, why wouldn't she? You seem to be one of these people who has a very skewed view of what free speech is. For a start, you think it applies on the internet, which it doesn't, by the way. The First Amendment, which Americans love hammering on about, but clearly have never read, but does not entitle you to go around saying whatever the hell you like on YouTube, by the way, or on the internet in general. Even in real life, actually, there are a number of limits to it. The reason for this, and Ryan Wiley did a very good video on this, it was his PSA to the Amazing Atheist. YouTube is not the government. Right? The First Amendment is an agreement between you, the citizen, and the government, saying that they won't criminally prosecute you in any way for having certain opinions, even if they're ridiculous, radical, very far-fetched opinions, or even if they're very anti-state opinions. They will not criminally prosecute you for these. However, there are a number of caveats and addendums to this. If you actually read the First Amendment, there's lots and lots of exceptions to the rule that they've put in there. But either way, even if we ignore that, this YouTube is not the government. They aren't bound by this. YouTube don't have to let you say whatever you want. In fact, YouTube is a privately owned business, which is why I take issue, I mentioned before, with you calling YouTube a public forum. That's slightly misleading. So YouTube do not have to give you a platform to say whatever you want. YouTube are perfectly entitled to enforce their own terms of service. And the terms of service do allow for users to ignore other users. So they are actually entitled to this. You're the one who seems to believes you're entitled to something you're not entitled to. You seem to think you're entitled to make everyone listen to what you've got to say. You actually don't have anything close to that right. Now, regarding this joke Rebecca made, which you address, I don't believe you or Thunderfoot or anyone else didn't realise this joke was a joke, by the way. I take it as a compliment. I actually think you're intelligent enough to have figured out that this was a joke, okay? Just be aware as well that, do you realise how stupid you're claiming to be if you're claiming that you didn't realise this was a joke? Do you realise you're basically claiming that you're so stupid that you think that Rebecca thinks that if a male atheist goes too long without calling a woman a cunt, his balls will shrivel up and turn into a mangina? That means you think she actually thinks that literally happened. You know, do you realise how stupid you're claiming to be if you're claiming that you didn't realise this was a joke? But let's be honest, you did realise it was a joke. You may not have found it funny. Humour is subjective. But it's obviously a joke, and I think you knew that. I think you are intelligent enough to figure that out. And I've written here as well, I don't believe you're offended by this, not in any sincere level. What you're doing here by claiming to be offended by this, you and Thunderfoot and all these other anti-feminist assholes, you're doing exactly what you keep accusing Rebecca of doing. You're playing the victim. You're trying to act like you're so hurt by this, but you're not. You just want to act like you are, so you can sort of, portray yourself as a victim, so you can get a bit of this victimhood that you seem to envy in other people. I seem to think you genuinely envy the fact that certain people are victimised because they get sympathy, and you want a bit of that. So you're accusing her of doing, well, you're doing exactly what you've accused her of doing. You're playing the victim. Now, throughout your video, you demand evidence of harassment. You demand Rebecca prove that she's experienced harassment. You are not the police. You have no business demanding people present you with evidence. The only people who get to demand evidence of these things would be the police. If you've reported a crime, you have to provide evidence of that crime. That crime has been committed. You don't have to provide it to everyone, you just have to provide it to the relevant authorities. That's it. I don't know who you think you are. Like I said, you seem to have this very high opinion of yourself, that you seem to think people should be giving you, personally, evidence that they've been harassed. There is actually evidence she's been harassed, though, but we'll get to that in a minute. You ask, why did Rebecca come back to YouTube if the harassment was so bad? Well, if she hadn't, she'd be a weakling in your opinion, wouldn't she? She'd be one of these people who just can't stand the heat, so they got out of the kitchen. They'd just be one of these people who just isn't tough enough to survive the internet. They'd be viewed as a weakling by people like you and Thunderfoot. So they can't win. They can't win whatever they do. They come back despite the harassment and put up with it and face it because they want to say things, because they want to express themselves. You just don't believe the harassment's real. If they vacate YouTube and just stop bothering with it, you seem to be of the opinion that, you know, oh, they must just be weaklings, they can't handle it. So, you dismiss the Pajo hate that she has, all the screen captures of harassment that she's received, saying, oh, it's just trolls. It's just trolls. So what? Troll harassment is still harassment. I don't get this idea that, oh, it's just trolls, so therefore it doesn't matter. It's very weird that you just think that trolls are just some kind of unsolvable problem. You know, trolls are human beings, and like most human beings, they can and should be educated and can and should be taught not to do these things. They can and should be made to face the consequences of doing things they shouldn't be doing. You know, you talk about trolls like there's some subhuman animalistic species, you know, some sort of that can't be trained, you know, can't be trained to behave like people. The other thing is you say because she hasn't presented any evidence that this is life-threatening, somehow it's a non-issue. It's not harassment. Harassment does not have to get to the stage where it's life-threatening for it to be harassment. I find it very weird that you think it does. You know, harassment can take many forms. It can come at varying degrees of severity. You're using to frame it as harassment is either life-threatening or it isn't harassment. That's how you seem to view it. So it's either your life's being threatened or your life's fine. There's nothing between those two extremes. Now, you do mention the atheist movement in your video. So you're one of these people who believes in an atheist movement, and like most people who believe in this concept, you attempt to shape it around your own personal politics and interests. You know, you find feminism boring, so therefore if people are talking about it at atheist conferences, feminism must be derailing the atheist movement. Now, if by atheist movement you mean secularist movement, which is the only thing I can possibly think atheist movement can mean, because atheism isn't a movement, you need to look at how feminism and secularism obviously overlap. And given as you're obviously like an anti-theist, I'm sure you've read the Bible plenty of times. You should be well aware of the misogyny in the Bible. A movement that is anti-religious in nature is going to feature feminists, you know. And if it took you this long to realise it, then I can't help but think you're a bit simple. You know, obviously, when the Bible talks about women as though they're livestock, and when the Bible says that rape victims, you know, women who are raped should be forced to marry their rapist, then this is the sort of thing you find. Did you seriously think people who oppose a book like that might not include among their number some fucking feminists? Utterly bloody ridiculous. So you just basically, because you're not interested in this, you say it's not important, and you say it's derailing the atheist movement, as though somehow the atheist movement should be shaped around your personal political beliefs and interests. Which again suggests this very high opinion you have of yourself. You seem to consider yourself to be very important. I don't see why you are. The other point I'd make is people don't have to explain to you why they use antidepressants. I find your intrusiveness here very rude. I mean, they don't have to give you any details about their medical history, for that matter, at all. I find it very odd that you're demanding evidence of harassment. You're demanding explanations as to why people use antidepressants, as though this is your business. It isn't. It's none of your fucking business. Again, you seem to think you're so important that people should have to explain this stuff to you. They don't. They don't have to give you any of this information. They only have to give this information to people to whom it is relevant. I hate to break this to you, education is cool. You're not that relevant. Now, in response to Rebecca complaining about misogyny on the internet, you say, in what I presume is supposed to be sarcasm, you say, I guess I should complain about those who mock my voice tone then. Yeah, do it. Why not? I've got no problem with you complaining about that. If that's the best anyone can pick apart from your videos, you know, your tone of voice, that they don't like it, well then, that's pretty crap. You know, it's pretty stupid. Very stupid, especially considering how crap your content is. You know, there's plenty of perfectly legitimate criticisms to make of your content, which I'm doing now, without having to resort to sort of cheap remarks about your voice. So yes, if you want to make a point about that, do it. I don't care, you know. I mean, I'm not going to watch it because I'm not subscribed to you, but I'm sure, you know, I'm sure your subscribers will give you a thumbs up that you're being the sort of loyal drones that they are. Now, at one point, you seem to act very much as though Rebecca's video is directed personally at you, because you keep saying when she starts talking about certain harassment or abuse that she's received on the internet, you keep responding along the lines of, well, I've never said anything like that to you, or I've never thought that, I've never done this, I've never done that. Who says this is all directed at you? I mean, is it? I assume that when she said to you, the guy who wants me to stop talking about feminism, I assumed this was talking in general to guys, you know, the guy, whoever you are, being many guys, many people who seem to think she should just shut up about this issue, and seem to think this is a non-issue. I don't know, well, so you're responding by, you seem to think you're debunking these points by pointing out that you've never personally said this, or you've never personally said that, or that you don't use abuse or insults. Again, it just makes me wonder why you think you're so important. You seem to think that you're very, very important. You know, that if people make videos, you know, they must be directed at you. But, oh God. Perhaps most worrying of all, you encourage people in your video to donate to hard-working users like the Amazing Atheist, Thunderfoot and Jaclyn Glenn. I'm done with the notes. I find it deeply insulting that you describe the Amazing Atheist as hard-working. The Amazing Atheist is a professional slob. Right, I mean, are you aware of his history on YouTube? Are you aware of how much money he has leached out of people and how little he has given back? Are you aware that he asked for donations to fund 2 websites, neither of which have ever emerged? Now, on one hand, the people who donated money to him are fucking stupid, and I don't have a lot of sympathy. On the other hand, a lot of them are probably gullible adolescents who didn't know any better. And even if they are fucking stupid, they're still victims of fraud as far as I'm concerned. So, for you to describe the Amazing Atheist as hard-working, you know, is just deeply insulting to anyone who actually does work hard. So, similar stands for Thunderfoot, who really doesn't do anything out of the ordinary to earn his money, the money that people donate to him. His video quality hasn't improved any since his Patreon, since he said he was going to save America. Second of all, a lot of the content he puts up has absolutely nothing to do with what he said it was going to have to do with. He said it was going to be science content, and he doesn't put that up. He doesn't put up videos about the physical sciences anymore. He puts up videos, you know, very badly attempts to do social science, you know, a bit like you're doing here. And Jaclyn Glenn, I will never forget the video she put up with the sob story about why she had to hock an iPhone app to her subscribers, right, because it costs so much to live in Los Angeles. You know, as though, oh, my heart bleeds for the person who has to struggle living in Los Angeles, you know, as though they're forced to live there, as though if you want to make YouTube videos you have to live in LA. But so we shouldn't give her a hard time for trying to hock a pyramid app, iPhone app, on her channel, because, you know, she needs the money because she lives in a very expensive city, you know, which she moved to. So, for you to describe these YouTubers as hard-working and deserving a lot of money, I find that very insulting. Now, I mean, regarding this whole issue of feminism, by the way, and Jaclyn Glenn at the moment, from the last video of hers I watched, which just popped up in my recommended list, she seems to be struggling to maintain this balance between being a chill girl and being someone who complains about the sexism she is now receiving as her channel has increased in popularity. She's receiving a lot of sexist, stupid abuse. Now, although I don't like Jaclyn Glenn, I've seen some of the comments left by sexists on her channel, and yeah, they're appalling. They're appalling, they're disgusting, and they're uncalled for. she's still trying to be a chill girl. She's still trying to say, hey, look, I'm not trying to be a feminist or anything, but oh, I hate all this sexism, you know. So, I mean, to be honest, I think she's just burning, possible bridges she could have built with the feminist community. The trouble is, because for her, she is someone who gets a lot of support and promotion off people like the Amazing Atheist, who of course is a raging anti-feminist and misogynist. So for her to, so that's where a lot of her audience and subs have come from. So for her to actually embrace the label feminist might lose her a lot of respect amongst that crowd. And she doesn't want to lose that because she's one of these people who does YouTube for a living, and she doesn't want to lose that popularity. So she is very much compromising ethics there for popularity. But the other issue here is that she still doesn't want to have to just put up with sexism. So she's just stuck in a very difficult divide of being the chill girl who will get on with people like the Amazing Atheist, but being someone who actually has enough self-respect not to want to have these stupid, vile, sexist comments posted on her channel and posted about her in various parts of the internet. So, in conclusion, education is cool. Those are the problems I have with your channel. I would suggest to anyone, if you want to set up an educational channel, keep your personal political opinions off of it. If you want to set up a personal political channel, don't call it education is cool or anything similar to that. Let me know what you think, everybody. Goodbye.